So good afternoon, everybody. And first, I would like to send you the greetings from the office of the Ministry of Ayush from India here in Croatia, and the ICCR established in the office of the Embassy of India in Croatia. And for today, I will speak about connection of yoga with the martial arts. And maybe some of you already practiced martial arts. I started this many years back. I think 52 years ago. I started practicing martial arts, karate, because I was interested in the philosophy of life. And this was some skill from the East with its philosophy. So I was attracted to it from that point of view. And together with my brother, and then after about 10 years intensive practice, we became the masters of karate and black belt. So later I was focused more on yoga and teaching yoga, and my brother focused more on Tai Chi. And so in that sense, we had the possibility, and here in the place where we are living in the house, we were inviting many great masters of yoga and the martial arts, and from China, from about Tai Chi and different styles. So in that sense, I was able to correlate the essence of the teaching of yoga from the philosophical and practical point of view with the essence of the original teaching of the martial arts. So in that sense, I prepared some presentation and guide you through that. And I will just open the presentation. So I hope you can see.
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so yoga and martial arts. So this is me here from the left, and from the right my brother, and in the middle was the master of karate, Anish Ante. He was our first trainer in that art. And first of all, we need to try to find why to practice yoga or martial arts. And in original sense, it is the same reason. We see that yoga is bringing us, and the most important aspect of yoga is to bring us the knowledge and experience and the knowledge of our true identity. And because unless we do that, we will always live life in a wrong identity, and everything goes in the wrong way, and causing suffering and then insecurity. Because of that, all the fighting is coming up. And so we want to live in peace. We want to live in peace in us and with the others around us, and not to have any enemies. And many times we find that in the life we are meeting the people or circumstances or something which we experience as threatening our life, and we call this some enemies, something unfavorable influences coming to us. So the yoga, and also this is the same, the philosophy of the martial arts, is that we need to fight the greatest fight we can have in our life is not with any outer enemy, but the inner enemies. That's why the yogis were also considered to be great warriors, as those warriors who were practicing martial arts. But what they were fighting about, so they tried to remove the inner enemies which are ruling our life from within us. And they are created from what yoga is calling some obstacles or inability that we realize our true self, who we are. And in yoga, this is defined as 5 kleshas. And the first avidya is ignorance or not being connected with the wholeness of life. And the wholeness of life is that state of ourself. Patanjali says, tada drashtu svarupe avasthanam. So the seer or we should be established in our true self, in the wholeness of life. Swa, swa, stha. Swa means the wholeness and stha means to be established. And to realize that we are not only this body or our mind, but there is a deeper value of our life, which we need to be able consciously experience and relate us with the essence of our being, and find that we are something great, enormous, as Christ also said that there is the kingdom of heaven in everyone. So that inner region of our life we need to come to know through and for that yoga is serving its purpose. And so on the basis of that ignorance or avidya about our true identity, we are having mistaken identity or asmita. Asmita means the ego, or mistaken. It's not real, our real identity. And that identity is then automatically in the condition of not being able to relate in a harmonious way with the surrounding or circumstances or everything, with the wholeness, because it's a just isolated, some isolated entity which is not in tune with the wholeness of life, which is our true self. So in that sense, we can make very easily many mistakes. And also because not being aware of that holistic value of our life, our true nature, then what happens is that we are just trying to satisfy urge for our life to be happy, to to find some stability within itself, and looking for the means in the outer field of the world how to be happy. And then many kind of desires, cravings for outer things are there, which many times we are not able to fulfill, and then we are suffering, and then comes dvesha, which is kind of repulsion. I don't want to suffer, which starts to be transformed into the negative attitude towards the object of desiring. So these are all internal, on a deep subconscious level, mechanics which are happening in us until we are, from the time we are born, and we are unconscious of that. But what we are conscious is the effect of that internal condition, which is expressed then in different kind of thinking and behavior and acting in our life. And one of those kleshas is abhinivesha, which is the urge of survival. And because if we are feeling insecure and in that ego condition, then we are always threatened for our survival. And then from that deep subconscious level, that fear of losing our existence and urge to survive activates autonomous nervous system to protect our life, to protect our existence, which creates that reaction of fight and flight. So from from these 5 clashes during life, we are born with those 5 clashes, because when we are born, we don't know who we are. And then slowly we start developing kind of identity and speaking I, because they say even in the doctors that until 2 years, the child don't speak yet I, but speaks in plural. In that sense, don't have yet defined identity. And then that ego starts at 2-year-old to be more established. And then the other clashes coming up one after the other and leading to the, when they become more and more expressed in our life, then they can turn in these enemies, our inner enemies. And one is the moha, which is illusion. It means not having clear, real knowledge of the existence of our own life and the life around us. And mada is the egoism, comes from asmita. So that the fact we are individual or ego becomes very egoistically expressed in the life. And kama, it's a strong craving and to fulfill desires and for passion and lust. It is coming from raga. And krodha is the anger or hatred, comes from dvesha. So that object, what I don't want, this is raga is I want, but that kama is I want so strongly that totally obsessed by the desire to be fulfilled. And dvesha is I don't want, but not only I don't want, but I hate that what I don't want. I am very angry because of existence of something what I don't want. And this is krodha. And then lobha is the greed. The greed, just we are trying to only for us trying to accumulate as many things as possible. And matsarya, jealousy. So these 6 inner enemies are developed over time, how we are growing in our life. And when these clashes are becoming strongly expressed in our life, then those enemies appear. They are born, and then they start to create outer enemies. And then the whole life is coming in an unhealthy condition. So this is some mechanic which at the beginning I would like to explain you, especially that abhinivesha, the urge of survival. And on the basis of that urge of survival, it comes the need for protection. And we saw that our nervous system, autonomous nervous system, is creating that reaction, fight and flight, activating sympathetic nervous system and preparing the body to be able to fight or to run away from the situation, to survive that situation. And that action didn't change for thousands of years and creates that change in our physiology, which after the situation is over, if that all physiological transformations don't come to their balanced, normal homeostasis condition, then this disturbance, that change in the level of the hormones in the blood, like cortisol or some other changings, become permanent. And then this is the disbalance or that stress accumulated in our body, which becomes the source of and the cause of many psychosomatic diseases. And especially they found that when we are reacting in that manner with that stress reaction to circumstances, for example, we are on some meeting with some people and somebody is speaking something against our opinion or thinking everything, we feel that we are attacked, that we are in danger. Our body reacts with a fight and flight reaction. And that fight reaction is, as I said, 1,000 years old. So it is very primitive reaction. It's really affecting body to fight. But today, in a civilized way, we don't fight immediately if we feel that, you know, to do that action, but we are blocking that. And then they found in the osteopaths in some research that this is the cause of creation of a lot of tension in the muscles and especially the tendons, because your hand wants to react, to hit, but you are preventing that action. So then it remains like a tension there. So the impulse comes for the action, but you are preventing it. So this, if it's happening, repeating many times, then the body is accumulating also on the level of the tendons and everything, a lot of tension and stress, and it can lead to the inflammatory condition and painful condition in those. That's why some people, to help the body to release that kind of tension, they put in some room some boxing bag and then hitting, you know, that bag to eliminate that tension, to make body free from that tension, so that action which was blocked can be now manifested, and through that action to release the tension. And so in one way, the martial art is having that therapeutic effect, in that sense that you are fighting, but you are not fighting to beat somebody, you know, but to you are doing certain movements and strikes with the legs and hands and everything in that process to relax more, to release those tensions which are there in you, and after that you feel completely relaxed and settled. So it is very therapeutic for that condition, for the people who are quite under the stress. To practice some martial art, it's useful, but to practice martial art in a proper way. So we will see that. So the highest goal actually of the practice of yoga and the martial art is to achieve that self-realization, and this is the real self-protection. And through yoga, achieving the state of samadhi, and the method of the practice is the yoga practice, as Maharishi Patanjali explained that 8 limbs of yoga and practice of these 8 limbs. And in the martial arts, self-defense is also through self-realization, and it is called the state of satori. Satori is the same meaning as samadhi, and the applied method is different styles of martial arts, as karate or tai chi and others we will see later. And what is the aim to achieve the state of Tao? This is the self-realization, is that the wholeness, the tada drashtu swa rupe. Swa means Tao in the Chinese language. Swa, it's a wholeness, and which is consisting of these 2 main opposites, yin and yang. So to create the balance and harmony between yin and yang, and to recreate that Tao, that wholeness, holistic value on the level of the mind and the body, is the main purpose or practice of the martial arts, or achieving that state of satori, which is identical to the aim of yoga to achieve the state of samadhi, which is actually the state in which you realize your true self, where your consciousness is able to remain awake, but being free from any activity in relation to any object except itself. So it is self-realization state. So this is the objective of the practice of yoga and the martial arts. And we can see here that the main value which that state develops, and the main quality which can lead us to that state, is that innocence. Yeah, innocence as a child. That also the Jesus Christ said, to reach the kingdom of heaven, you must be innocent as a child. And that child innocence is also the main principle of the practice of yoga and martial arts. Even you think martial arts are some, warriors, or kind of some cruel, but it's not. It is the great masters of martial arts. All of them are like children, very innocent and very peaceful and full of compassion and positive values. The same like great masters of yoga. Because they are achieving the same state. Now the purpose of martial art is not to offend, but to defend. That's why it's kind of self-defense. So this is the same principle as the practice of yoga, Zen, and Tao. And for that, they practice also a very important aspect of martial art is meditation. So it can be yoga meditation or Zen meditation, Tao meditation, different kind. Each of those systems have their own kind of the meditational practice, which is developing that inner self-realization, self-confidence, and that enthusiasm, strong enthusiasm for life, and fearlessness, because when you achieve that your true self, when you get knowledge about your true self, you become free of the fear, you become fearlessness, and this is very important. And here you see one example of this is great karate master Gogen Yamaguchi from Okinawa, and he was doing meditation under that tiny stream of the slope, falling on the top of his head. And so it's one example of one Zen meditation that you try to maintain that inner settledness, inner peace, and undisturbed state of your consciousness under any kind of outer influences. So this is one practice also in that sense. So now we will go a little into the structure of the training in yoga and martial art, and to see what is the main aspect in that. So in the yoga, when you have a training, you have a yoga class, then you always begin with the recitation of Sahana Bhavatu, Sahana Bhunaktu, Saha Viryam Karava Vahai, Tejasvina Vathitamastu Ma Vidvisha Vahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So it means this is mental preparation before you start practicing and before you interact with other, if you are practicing with other people around you or with a teacher who is there, who is guiding the practice. This is establishing the proper relation. So that proper relation is that you are together there for the purpose of acquiring knowledge about yourself, to work on yourself, to work on your self-realization. And in that sense, that enthusiasm to achieve that through the practice should be there. And that this is creating also that life power to be awakened. And also we need to be conscious that we can have different opinions and differences, and so that we should not on that basis feel offended, or that and so we need to be in some way accepting other opinions and other approach and everything, and remain being in that how to say, enthusiastic and positive attitude to each other in spite of differences. And being the student in a real sense, a student of life, and being able to learn. Even we can learn from others and from their opposite, maybe, opinion about certain thing. So this is important thing. And also in the practice of the martial art, so usually when it's like one way of life also, the martial art, when you are entering the hall, even you bow down to the hall first, so that you respect that hall, which will be serving you with all the people there for your evolution. And then at the beginning of the training, so you also have a kind of a practice of short meditation, or they call zazen, where you withdraw to yourself, and then also establishing that inner silence on which basis you start the practice, to be completely present there with your thoughts and everything. And also, if you bow down also to the partner with whom you are practicing, especially kind of kumite or fighting, so that before you do that practice, you bow down to each other. It means you are giving the full confidence to each other, regardless what will happen. Maybe it can happen some mistake and some injury can happen, everything, but nobody is offended, nobody is angry on the other person. So it is just no bad feeling or any kind of negativity. So this is that ma with vishavahai. So it is the same principle in both cases, how to start. And so this is the reason why traditional way of the practice or of yoga or martial arts should be kept in its purity, because it has a sense in itself. And today there is a tendency more to bring yoga and martial arts also to the sport level, and in some way avoiding that traditional approach. And then it is more on some gross level of the practice without real sankalpa, the real attitude to it. So it is like, the attitude it's very important, because whatever you do, with what kind of attitude you are doing that, this makes the difference in life. And if somebody is, you are in the restaurant and the waiter is serving you the lunch or whatever, he can just come and drop the plate in front of you, with any kind of his changed state of the mood. But if somebody other comes who is, with full devotion, bringing the plate in front of you and full presence and everything, it gives you the different effect. Different effect is the person who is doing that and also who is receiving that. So this is that attitude is very important in the life, and we need to become aware what kind of attitude we have in our behavior to the situations, people around us. And this is what you get trained in the martial art from the beginning, to have proper attitude. And that's why I say this the attitude is lost if you remove that part from the training procedure. There must be that respect. And the purpose of sport is not only to be able to gain the best, result or golden medal or whatever, and not being developing in yourself that respect to the people, to others, and to the nature and to everything. So sometimes in the past, the aim of sport was that also. The sportsman was considered to be very noble and considerate and well-behaved person, compassionate, who is helping others, and like that. So after mental preparation, then starting some exercises to increase flexibility and strengthen joints and the spine and body, Sukshma Vyayam in yoga. So dynamic practice, it's at the beginning. And in karate, you have a dynamic process of warming up all the joints, stretching, and doing some exercises to increase the strength of the body. Just preparing body to become strong and flexible and and ready for the next of the training. Then the second then comes the training of the asanas in yoga, specific postures, and we in some specific order, like different sequences of practice of yoga asanas and some breathing exercises, pranayama. And in the martial art training, after this warming up the body and all the stretching and everything practices, then starts to practice of some individual techniques, like strikes or blockades or no, different, and then combining them into specific sequences and practicing the kata. It's like the sequence of the asana here, and then also in that practice you have a connection with the breathing. It's a specific kind of breathing which you use during the practice of those katas and martial arts. So it's kind of a pranayama also. And then after that, at the end, you have this kumite, or fighting with a partner, to test the state of consciousness which you achieved through previous practices. And the main purpose of that is not to win, in that sense, the opponent, but to test your own state of consciousness. For that, that fighting aspect is there, to really test what is the state of your consciousness, which you achieved through the practice of martial arts or yoga. Because the fight is very intensive, we can say, not much time for thinking, and so you must be very awake to be able to react in a proper way, because it's very dynamic, very quick exchange. And so then you can notice that at some moment when you are doing that sparring, with this better word, sparring with the sparring partner, that at some moments he becomes very fast, and then he can win over you. But sometimes you can make him to become very slow. So then you realize that it depends on the state of your consciousness. When your consciousness is clear, completely clear, then you can feel that your partner becomes very slow, because that presence of your awareness in all the details can reflect him in your consciousness. So there is no disturbing thoughts in your consciousness which can hide to yourself what is his movement or his intention. You are hiding this to yourself. But if there is no thoughts, nothing, just consciousness pure, and as a mirror, it reflects, and awake, it reflects every intention of the opponent, every move. And then you feel like you have a time to react, and you can be much faster than him. He becomes slow, and you become very fast. But in the other condition, if your consciousness is full of thoughts and worries and everything and fear, and you are fighting, then you become very slow and he becomes very fast. So this is what actually that sparring had a purpose, for testing the level of your own consciousness. And this is real test. It's a real test. Then you cannot go into imagination about you achieving some spiritual dimension or whatever in your life if you are not able to function in action in a proper way. And that fighting is that situation, very intense situation, where it's really testing you how you can react, and whether you can react in the proper way, and what is the time which you have for reaction and everything. So this is that, and then always the training ends with some relaxing practices and meditation or zazen again, or meditation in yoga. And in that sense, to release any tension which was accumulated in the body and the muscles through the strenuous practices which you were doing, and to bring all the muscles to the tonic condition at the end. So this is the ending process of that's why that process of stretching is there. So, and what is the purpose on the level of the practice of all yoga and asanas and dynamic yoga, as vinyasa yoga or ashtanga yoga or asana practice, is to develop that strength and the power of the body, and also the softness, the strength and the softness, both. So to develop strength more, you use these more dynamic practices in yoga, and that softness to bring to the tonic condition, you use the practice of the asanas. So both practices are important to develop both things. Like this in the martial art, in karate, you have also both type of the practices. Some very to develop the power of the body, and some to release the tensions and working more on the softness. So this is especially emphasized in one style of practice of karate martial arts from Okinawa, which is called Goju Ryu. I was learning that style. This is from that master Gogen Yamaguchi from Okinawa. And the Go means the strength, and Ju means the softness. So I found it's exactly the same, the idea, how to cultivate the body to be strong and soft at the same time, to have both qualities, not to be chronic hypertension, neither chronic hypotension, but to be tonic and have possibility to be going into the hypertonic, to go to hypertonic or hypotonic, but to be able to be most of the time in that tonic when there is no need. So this is also the aim of the practice of yoga, which Patanjali says, tato dvandva nabhigata ha, then that you established yourself on that level which is between extremities. And when you are between extremities, then you can reach any extremity anytime according to your need. And then you are achieving the highest possible efficiency in action, because you react in the last moment and make a contraction. So this is actually that in the martial art, that most of the time you are in a tonic condition, and then even the movement for striking is in a soft way moving, and then the contraction is just at the end of the movement. So it is strong, being soft during the movement, being soft, and at the end being strong. Then this gives great velocity to the movement, great speed, and the power at the end. It's like you wave some string, make that movement, and then the wave goes, and the end makes that noise. So this is the way how actually those great masters of martial arts were performing those practices. Everything soft, like in one Chen style Tai Chi, soft movements, and then suddenly at one moment, very strong, that the Master Chen used to do that when he hit with the foot the floor, then the whole was trembling. So because they are working with the life energy can pass through you and can accumulate only if you are soft. And then through that, you are creating that, and then focus that energy in certain point, and then achieving different effects. So this is demonstrated by also karate masters and kung fu masters, Shaolin kung fu, and also yoga masters in that sense. So the yoga and martial art are not sports, because their purpose of practice is not for others, not for public, but for the practitioner himself, for his spiritual development. So this is very important to understand. But today, already martial arts, karate is on I think, many kind of even Olympic and judo Olympic games and everything. But now they also try to push and put the yoga on that level. But this is not the proper direction for those practices. They need to remain pure in their original idea as a traditional method for self-development. And then today, the application of yoga and martial art as sport discipline is eliminating the spiritual purpose of their practice. And they are practiced only on a physical method to win in fighting or to perform most difficult asana or some posture to impress the others. That's why those who come practicing martial art to be good fighters, they miss their purpose. And the real trainer who is teaching them, if they come to the hall and for the practice, then he will guide them that they realize that the purpose of practicing martial art is to become peaceful, not to fight at all. So you become master of the art of fighting for the purpose not to fight. This is the real and all those masters who really practiced in a traditional way that art, they are all very peaceful people and they never fight. They always try to avoid any kind of need for fighting. So this is, and those who think they will learn how to fight and then prove how they are great and they can beat this, this is not that art. It is not anymore art. It becomes something useless for the life in that sense. So the aim of the practice of yoga and martial art is to achieve the state of ahimsa, non-violence. This is what I said now, and other principles of yama: truthfulness, non-covetousness, non-greediness, naturalness. So like and purity of living in accord with laws of nature, all these principles of yama, which is very important for every practitioner of yoga. It's also the same principles are there for the practitioners of martial arts, specified in the traditional way of teaching of those arts as the codex of behavior for them, and which is exactly the same principles like in yoga. So in martial art, you learn self-defense so that you are never in need to defend yourself through fighting. And training in martial arts gives you positive values, strong willpower, and self-confidence. So there is one saying that the weak invites strong to attack him by its weakness. And the fear. The fear invites to something to attack you, the fear, inner fear. And this is the inner enemy. And then you find outer enemy who is attacking you. But you need to get rid from that inner fear to feel that inner self-confidence and the strength. And then you will change. You will see that you remove that inner enemy, and then the outer enemies will be removed. Nobody will dare to attack you or to make you any problem. They will all respect you, and because they will be feeling that radiation from you, of that inner power and self-confidence, and they will be just wanting to have peace with you and respect you. And this is that quality which the practice of martial art develops, that in the vicinity of that master, there will be only peaceful tendencies. It's the same like in yoga, what the sutra one says, Tat Sanidhau Vairatyagaha, that in the vicinity of the master of yoga who got self-realization, then the hostile tendencies are dropped down. So again, we see the same so in the same way as you progress in the practice of yoga or martial art training in this traditional way, and you become the expression of peace and love and bliss, and achieve the ability to neutralize enemies in person by removing that enemy of weakness within yourself. And then you naturally create friendly reactions from people and wild animals even. And then the characteristic of such a person is always to protect those who are weak and those who are in need. Those masters always look to protect the others and support others and help others. So just a few words about so then in that sense, the yoga and martial art has both methods. First, to withdraw yourself from the outer world And this is that kind of meditation to establish that relation to your own self and realize that inner silence, inner peace, and then to stabilize that inner peace in the very active, dynamic field of life. That's why the martial art is using actually all these dynamic practices for the purpose to stabilize that inner silence and peace in that in the consciousness under any condition that it can be maintained there, under any extreme conditions. So this is also the process in yoga, that you come back to yourself and then trying to stabilize through the activity, through the life, that inner values which you develop. And to live then in those values of Yama, in those positive principles in the life. And that sameness of the yoga and martial arts, it's natural because it is from the same origin. Martial arts comes from India, actually from the teaching of the yoga, and then it was developed with different skills for self-defense also in India, called Kalari, in the south of India, in Kerala, and there are still some very great masters of that art there. And one in the ancient time was Bodhidharma, who was invited by the Emperor of China to present that skill to the people of China. And then in that sense that he was the master of Kalari, and he was also a self-realized person, and he brought that knowledge there, and there it developed in the form of their Chinese traditional practices and martial art, which is like Qigong, Lohan Kung, Tai Chi, and Xingyi, Kung Fu, different styles of Kung Fu, Shaolin Kung Fu, and many others, Wushu, and Wing Chun, and many different styles of the practices. And here is a picture of Chen Xiao Wang, one great master of Chen style Tai Chi from China, because his family is from the Chen village there in China, and they are originators of the Tai Chi Chen style in China. They have very long tradition, and my brother was practicing with him many years, and even they honored him to become the member of their Chen family as a 20th generation of that style. So then from India, it came to China, and from China to other regions, to Korea, to the Okinawa, and further. So here is very popular martial arts in Korea, Taekwondo or Hapkido also, and Muay Thai. And this is one picture of one great master of Hapkido in Korea. And then also to Malaysia, it came that art, and one great master, Sam Chin, he also was practicing with my brother, and we are good friends. And his family developed Ilik Chuan, mastery of that practice. But main purpose of those practices, because as we saw the similarity again, in yoga we speak about prana as life energy. In China they speak about qi, and then about the concept of yin yang, and how to, during moving your body, you maintain the balance between yin and yang, that you move in the wholeness, that the wholeness move along with you. So this is the purpose of these practices, and it has therapeutic and self-defense purposes also. And for example, in India, you have marma therapy, very popular with Kalari, where you can normalize the function of life energy on the level of the body if there are some problems, as a therapy method also. In China, you have acupuncture. The Parma points are similar to acupuncture points. So with the chi to regulate the flow of that life energy in the body. And in Japan, you have ki, and you have tsubo, called the tsubo, those points of vital energy. And they developed their own treatment methods and also for self-defense. So it is, you can see the knowledge were just assuming different names, the practices, and a different little kind of difference in the approach and the movements and everything, but originally it maintained the same idea. So here is from Okinawa. This is Gogen Yamaguchi. They were calling him the cat. Because his way of the movement was so soft, like the movement of the cat. So softness, and then in the moment of the end of the strike, he was firm as a mountain. So he used to exchange that condition of being firm as a mountain and soft as a water. This is the idea of that training. To develop that quality, and this is actually developing on the mental level quality as and then another great master, Kanei Uechi on Okinawa also, and one very famous practice was Sanchin Kata, which has on the physical level effect, on the energy level effect, on the mental level effect, on the spiritual level effect. Very interesting practice as when it's practiced in the original way. Then from Okinawa, it came also to Japan with the different masters there developed different styles of karate, like as Shotokan karate and Aikido, and then Bushido, Budo, Judo, and Jiu-Jitsu. And so here are some of the most prominent masters: Gichin Funakoshi for karate, Morihei Ueshiba for Aikido, and Jigoro Kano for Judo. So the main idea, as I said, was of all these practices to create peaceful, harmonious people which will never fight and which will promote love, compassion, and mutual acceptance, understanding. And this is the purpose of the practices of yoga and martial arts. And if they are practiced in that kind of original traditional way, and that's why it's critical to maintain authenticity of those practices and to make that application to as much population as possible to contribute to the peace in the world and the non-violence. So this is that main idea of those practices. And one story just for the end, I would like to tell you as example for some Zen master had one student who he was studying the Zen Buddhism and many kind of things. And then he needed to pass exam to come for the exam to the master. And then when he entered his room, then the master asked him, from which side of the door you left your shoes when you were entering? And then he didn't know, he was not sure. And then he at that point the exam was finished. So it's not important how much knowledge you have, intellectual knowledge, or this or that about different things in the life, but it's important how much you are awake, how much you are present and awake and being able to react in a proper way according to different circumstances which come to you. And always to react in a constructive way, supportive way, and helping others, and in that sense. So this is the main goal of all those practices. So I hope this little overview gave you some more understanding of that relation. And if you have any question, now a few minutes we can have for a question.
Jadranko?
Yes.
May I ask, where does Danuved fit into all this? Would that also be following the same principles?
Yes. It is the Dhanurved. There are mentioned in the ancient times of India. They were great warriors. Those who developed all different skills. But the main thing for the Dhanurveda, Dhanu means the bow and arrow, Dhanu, and the knowledge how to use the bow and arrow. And what is the bow is your spine. The Dhanurveda speaks about that spine, and the string is the nadis in the Sushumna nadi. It is the Sushumna nadi, that string, and this bony part is that wooden part of the bow, and the string of the bow is Sushumna nadi, and then to put the arrow, arrow is your attention, your awareness, and then you pull the arrow back. You withdraw your awareness on that string. So you bring to Sushumna. You enter the Sushumna on the energy level, on all attention level, everything. And then you shoot. Then that arrow of pure consciousness, you reach Samadhi. And then from the level of Samadhi, you bring that attention to certain thing. Then it has strong power to transform. So this is shooting the arrow, is shooting the arrow of Samadhi in relation to some object. And when that coherence of consciousness is having an attention to that part of the body, which is in the state of the tension, then it will be transforming it into the relaxed condition. That value of attention. So this is the Dhanurveda, internal Dhanurveda, and the Rama, who was shooting those with the arrows, those demons. The demons are those knots of the tensions in the body. And when they get hit, then they get transformed into the normal being. They become, that part of the body come back to the normal function. So this is all a story, which is actually the art. This is the art of shooting, art of fighting, not to fight anybody outside again, but how to fight those tensions and the stresses in us, which are preventing us to live the normal life condition, normal life, to become normal.
That's very interesting, Jadranko. Also, like in the time of Krishna, was it Krishna that he killed the big demon? I've forgotten what the name of that demon. But somewhere it said, that it was the only possibility for that demon to gain enlightenment was for Krishna himself to kill him. So again, there must be some relation to the power of pure consciousness, which Krishna was, and just can transform the demon into an enlightened soul again.
Yes, it is like I was speaking with Dr. Raju now recently when I was in India. We were speaking about the condition and the illnesses and everything. He said that in ancient text is written in this Ayurvedic also knowledge, when enlightened Vaidya appears among the people, then all the illnesses which are bordering those people align and for waiting for their salvation, because they also want salvation from that condition. They don't want to be all the time in that sense. That's why that Ravana, who took the Sita, he took by purpose, because he knew that then Rama will attack him and kill him. So he wanted liberation, actually. For that, he did that thing. And So there are many stories like that, but the main essence is this external fighting, which is expressed in that sense, is just describing some internal principles of the practice of yoga, which in the practice of yoga we use. And this is that the 16 dharanas of the Yoga Vasishta Dhanurveda explained in the text of of the Vasishta Dhanurveda. He explains the method of the 16 dharanas, or 16 areas of the body which you are shooting with the arrows of your consciousness. To remove the tension and bring health. And it's a samyama principle, dharana, dhyan, samadhi, together in relation to some part of the body. So this is samyama principle in relation to the body for the perfection of the body. So, and this is still to be discovered more, that application, and explained in a proper sense. Otherwise, it remains just some outer skills, you know, like fighting skills, and but it's full of the philosophical expression. Like you have this art of fighting in the Chinese tradition also, but it is a great philosophical thing, discovering, actually giving you knowledge, and that you can reflect how your mind functions, and what should be the skills of the proper function and in activity. And so,
may I ask another? I'm for taking all your time, but I practiced Bharatanatyam for 5 years, you know, the Indian traditional
dance, yes.
And you know, what you've been describing reminded me, you know, of some links with that, because in Bharatanatyam, it's like the center of the body, you know, is the Brahma stand, and around which the movement of the arms and the legs go. And then there is this discipline of the forms that you
yes.
But you're not dancing until the whole consciousness is going to become completely centered, and you're establishing absolute stillness inside. And then it's a completely different experience in the dance. You know, you're moving consciousness. It's very hard to describe it, but it reminded me of it. I felt, it's the same principle everywhere of getting enlightened.
Yes, that's why this comes from the dance. Everything comes Tandava, that dance of Shiva. No, this is the dance of the absolute level of life. This is a description of the self-referral dynamics of the pure consciousness. This is the dance of consciousness within itself, and then it is expressed in that physical expression. So now, if you want to dance in a real sense, first you need to make your consciousness start dancing, and then the movements will be following. So this is the real dance. And then, but now today, first you start learning some movements and like this, and to do some dance. But the main real dance is when your consciousness is dancing, when that spirit of dance awakens in your consciousness, and you feel that rhythm in your consciousness, and then it gets transformed into the movement of the energy. And the rhythm of the movement of the energy is moving your muscles, limbs, everything in a movement of your body. So this is how the mudras come. The mudras, you know, all different gestures of the body comes from this movement of consciousness, transformed as a specific movement of energy, transformed as a specific movement of the physical body. So then it is. That's why it looks like a dance. All this martial art, also the highest level of martial art is the dance. It's a kind of the flow of consciousness. You cannot practice this only on physical level. You see, even these katas, or it is, you know, when you do that, you feel such a great power of your consciousness when you are moving your body along with that. So the consciousness, energy, and the body become one, expressing that unity and in that movement. And this is that training which connects those levels of your life.
Beautiful. It's beautiful.
Nice.
It's silence and dynamism, and the core is silence. And
Yes,
then
and the silence always.
story of creation.
Always in the middle, you are silent. You know, in the practice
Yes.
of asana, everything you must keep this sthira, stability. You must be connected with the Brahmastan of your body, the navel, with the Brahmastan of the base on which you are supported in that position. And around that stable point, everything around moves. So it's like tornado. Tornado. So it's the principle of Aikido. You know, the person, that inner silence, and then around that silence, he can conduct the movements, not only his movements, but the movements of the others. This is the all, not so much physical, but it becomes more energy work, and then it becomes more consciousness work. So that's starting from the physical and coming more to the energy level, and then coming to the consciousness level. This is the master in the martial arts. This is the master in the yoga. Now, the same procedure.
Lovely. I really clarified and learned something there. Thank
Yes,
you.
thank you for questions. Okay, if somebody else wants to ask something, or so, then thank you very much for being present, and hope to see you soon in some next team. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye, Jagrudev. Thank you.
Yes, bye.